am here in Omaha, Nebraska with Marcus Ross, who is one of the founders of Water Bear Games, and along with, I'm going to say it wrong even though I just had
Kara Ryan,
his cousin, and they did Discount Salmon and some other stuff that Marcus is still working on. Kara is busy with kids, so we can talk about that. We're just going to talk about some things. This is the first in-person chat I've had in a while.
Me too.
Okay. Yeah. What are you up to? How are you doing this morning, Marcus?
I'm doing okay this morning. I am currently working on the Hobby contest is going, so I'm working on a Hobby contest design. Other than that, I'm talking with some friends about doing possibly a game based on Nearest Green, the distiller the first master distiller for Jack Daniels. So taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. That's an idea I'm working on. I'm working on a few other things.
Cool. And you've been doing your... It's for charity, right? Your modern art game?
Or it's not so much for charity. It's just a personal project. I'm doing a bespoke, hand-painted version of modern art, so that when you put the art up for sale, it's an actual piece of commissioned art.
Right.
So I love the game. It's a fantastic game. I mean, I think just having real art will elevate the play experience, and I want to take that to conventions and have people play that when we can get back to conventions. I miss conventions a whole lot.
Are you doing any this year? Or how are you feeling about that?
It depends. I want us to be at 70-75% vaccinated. I mean, I'm vaccinated.
I hear you.
And I don't want people to be endangered going to a convention, because then they'll just get shut down again. So I really want strict control.
I mean, that's the hard thing compared to... I mean, there's a lot of things we can talk about there, but... so, no conventions yet, but when you do go to a convention, you're going to take modern art with you, you're going to...
Eventually. It's going to take probably another... modern art's not going to be ready this year. It's going to be hopefully next year's conventions, because... I'm still looking for artists. I've got a couple in my back pocket. I'm not ready to reveal those yet, but when I have got more art in hand. And I'm still working on all the other components. I'm looking at frames so that you know who painted what at a glance on the table. And what else? I still need to do pretty much everything else to get the project ready.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and it's not going to make any money whatsoever.
But that's what you agreed to.
Yeah, it is what I agreed to.
Yeah, because you was it with a tweet or I think that's what I saw.
I did a whole tweet storm about what the project is, and I don't own the rights to the game. Reiner Knizia, prolific designer of 600 some odd games, made that game one of his very best, I think. And I reached out to his company, and they said, sure, you just cannot use this to make money, and if you have extra, we'd like a copy. I'm like, just the nature of how this is going to go down, there's not going to be anything extra to send you.
There's not going to be any extra. I mean, maybe when you're done playing it with other people, then you could I don't know. Maybe they'll find you over for Essen or something.
That would be fantastic. I've never left this country, so I would like to go to Essen. It's one of my goals one of these days.
Never left the country. What is the farthest you've gone for a convention then?
Oh, jeez. I think I went to PAX in Seattle. One convention. I went to another one in Boston. And since I'm right in the middle of the country, both of those are about as far as I can get.
What's your favorite convention then?
Oh, my favorite convention. That's tough.
Picking favorite children.
I really love Geekway to the West. It's in St. Louis. The convention and the hotel are the same building, and it is focused on playing games more than any other convention I've been to, because the area where you can play games is open 24/7 once the convention starts. It's pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
It's you can always go down there and find a game to play. And the game designers are milling around right around 2 o'clock. Like, all right, let's play this weird thing I got from Japan.
Oh, nice. I mean, there's been some good stuff coming out of Japan lately, so especially. What's your favorite game that you're playing right now? Not your favorite of all time, just that you're playing right now.
It's like I have just gotten back into playing games with friends in just like small circles, but we're playing Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion.
Okay.
And I just did some things with my character that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away because there's a turn in the middle of the game where you're just like, okay, that was fantastic, and I did not see it coming. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't.
Fair. Okay. So Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
Yeah.
Do you have any? And I read something somewhere that you like to play small, quick card games too, right?
I do, and that is not one.
Okay. No, it's not. That's what I said. Do you have any small, quick card games that you like?
Small, quick card games.
You're like, no, just give me all the long games right now because it's been too long since I've been with people.
We've been playing a lot, and I'm going to have to go back to Reiner Knizia, and this is an older game. We've been playing Poison. They reprinted it several different times with different names because I don't know. Poison was I think the original theme they had on the game.
Yeah.
You're making the cauldrons fill to 13. If you go over, you have to take all the cards.
Yeah.
If you take the most of a single color, you're immune to that particular poison.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they renamed it, but
there's a Friday the 13th, and I think one of them's Baker's Dozen. I don't remember. They tried
that's yep. Cool.
But I always liked Poison. My copy's older, and I'm not sure it's entirely legal.
Okay.
It's got an extra language, and the production quality on the box is a little poor, but I couldn't find a copy in person to buy, so.
Well, I mean, stuff that came over from Germany used to be different quality too, so.
Maybe it's legal.
Yeah. So what got you into game design? What got you excited about it originally?
It's kind of a different question because I was doing game design in my youth, sort of. I was like making Ninja Turtle games because the ones that they had on the market were terrible. So I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I made a Ninja Turtles game every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But when I first decided to make games like as for commercial purposes for money, that was totally different.
Yeah.
I didn't do that till it had to be in the 2000s. So I saw, I think, Forbidden Island was the first game I played where I'm like, this is truly different. And my gosh, people actually make these. I think I can make these. I'm gonna try and make these. So yeah, that would have been. Let's say I played Catan in 2003, and it just felt a world away. And there weren't that many games. But once I actually went to a real convention and just see, you can do games on anything.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. I'm like, okay.
It's
really take my spin on it.
Yeah. Well, so was Discount Salmon your first one then?
It's my first published game, yeah.
Okay. Why go with Rotting Salmon? why was that like? You can make a game on anything. I'm gonna make a game that includes Rotting Salmon. Right? Because that's what I'm.
It is at least lighthearted, so nothing looks horrible. Carrie did a great job with the art on that game.
Yeah.
But the way we came up with that game was we actually went to something called Startup Weekend when we started our game company. And we had plans to do all sorts of grandiose things, like help people with playtesting and have a website. That part we all just kind of shoved to the side, and we're like, okay, we'll just do our own game designs. Mm-hmm. But at Startup Weekend, they gave everybody a T-shirt for participating.
Oh. And
it was the ugliest salmon-colored T-shirt you've ever seen in your life.
Okay.
And I'm like, they went to a T-shirt shop, and out of all the colors they saw, they're like, that one. And they're like, why that one? It's like, it says 30% off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like the discount paint
that
section.
Had to be the reason, because who orders hundreds of shirts? You could have gotten orange, could have gotten green. It doesn't even photograph well. It is a salmon color that does not make sense.
Okay. So that's why you. Okay.
So, yes, we started with the name, and then we built the game off of it. Like, why would anyone discount Salmon and believe you could sell it? No reason. So we'll just go with all comedy reasons.
That's fair.
We just kept riffing kind of improv style till we came up with jokes that were funny.
Yeah.
Listen to a game.
When you go to game designs now, what do you start with? Do you have a go-to that you're like, I'm going to sit down and work on theme, I'm going to sit down and work on mechanics, I'm going to iron out some things that I've scribbled down before? What's your go-to that when you go to work now?
Yeah, my answer is actually getting to be kind of cliche, but it's
okay.
I work on a moment. What do I want the player to feel in the game when they're playing it, when it's firing on all cylinders? How does this game reward you for paying attention?
Okay.
So, yeah, my second game, Bees, was entirely based on just frantic action.
Yeah.
And like, you're trying to do something here, but you're missing out over here, and you're like, you just kind of have a brain moment where you're like, I want to be doing want to be doing 3 things right now, and I can only do one, and I need to focus, and time is running out.
So I mean, you mentioned Jaws of the Lion. Narrative is huge right now. How would you incorporate narrative into like a card game? Because like that's one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is how can we make the gaming experience more immersive, and even for short games though. Does that question make sense?
It does. It's tough to do.
Yeah.
And obviously the amount of story you can tell is limited in something like a card game. You can only inform it by what the mechanics of the game are. And just the depth of the narrative is going to be a little thin. So poison, whoever takes the most of a particular color is immune to that poison. That makes sense, kind of intuitively. But like, could you actually go on about witches and witchcraft and how people are treated? And you're like, it's not necessary. But it's like there's a level you want to engage at, and you have to decide how the artwork plays to that, how the card design plays to it, and just the experience of which you want the players to have playing the game.
Do you have a favorite experience of your own from playing games? It doesn't have to be recently, just in general. Like when you think, this is a defining experience for me playing games. Do you have one of those for yourself?
There's a game called Snake Oil.
Yeah.
It is.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we were at the end of one of the Extra Life fundraisers. So we've been up playing games for 24, 25 hours.
Yeah.
And we're ending it with Snake Oil. And that's a game where one of the players is a customer, and the customer is a particular type of person. They have a job. And you've got a hand of cards, and you've got something to sell them.
Yeah.
And so my customer was a hitchhiker, and I sold him a murder monkey. Pretty successfully. So like, imagine you're hitchhiking, and you need people to stop for you so you can get your ride to Austin or wherever. And you've got a monkey on your shoulder. People are going to stop. You're going to get in. But if they turn out to be somebody who wants to take advantage of you in some way, and you don't want that, you'd be like, well, murder monkey. Okay. After 25 hours, I could barely get through the pitch. I was laughing so hard because I presented it first with the monkey card and then waited until the time was right to present the murder card. Nobody else had a chance. Absurdly funny, and I just thought this is great.
So did everybody in the group have the same kind of sleep deprivation thing going on?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So like, there's a huge amount of context there, right?
Yes, tons of context, but just at that particular moment, it was fun.
But I mean, that's how games can go sometimes, right? Is that like there's a perfect combination of what the game is doing and what the group is doing, and it brings it together. And I mean, if the game doesn't get in the way of that, that's what makes it a good game, right?
Yeah, a lot of times the game is the catalyst.
Yeah. So we had a quick change of scenery just to have a better sound as we continue our chat about games and gaming experiences. So at that point, I was about to ask Marcus, where do you want to see, and this has been a big thing during our season 2. I don't know where I'm going to put this video at. So this might just be a summer special thing, highlight. But where do you want to see gaming go and grow in the next few years? One of our big things is making the table accessible to everyone, kind of. Our rule is no bigots at the table.
Yes.
So yeah, where do you want to see gaming go and grow in the next few years?
Very much along those lines, more inclusive, larger audience, more interesting themes. I mean, you can't just stay in Europe, in ancient Europe doing things. It's like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, bring more people into gaming. Just make it more interesting.
Yeah. So tell me a theme that sounds more interesting to you as you think about that.
For Tessa, Elise has a game coming out called Wicked and Wise. It is about dragons, but it's asymmetrical trick-taking game. So it's a partnership, and you're both playing differently. You're playing the same game. You're playing cards in the same hand, but it's all resolved differently, and the theme is good, and the mechanics are completely next level.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing Wicked and Wise come out. Is fantasy setting something that speaks to you more than, or?
No, I'm usually more of a sci-fi guy. I love Star Trek, so.
I mean, I kind of knew that.
There's a ton of space games, though. But yeah, you can take a different take on a space game, other than just doing colonization or big 4X games.
Yeah, what would that look like to have something that wasn't just a colonization or 4X game that really focused in on the development of a civilization, though? I mean, because the reason I'm asking you this is because I know you're a Star Trek fan.
I am. Very much. And that's a tough question to answer. You really do have to think what all of the things that you need in a society are, and how would they change if suddenly you have to travel between planets to get things done. And even just like entertainment. Imagine you had a comedy troupe that travels from planet to planet just selling comedy. You would still have a lot. You'd still have a lot of the same problems that you would have doing a civilization game, but you don't have to have civilization on top of it. You still have economics.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how hard it is to keep people with you when you're struggling a little bit, but now if you're struggling a little bit and you're in space on a spaceship and the people you've got are here for comedy, you're like, I need somebody to fix the engine. We're not going to make it to our next gig or anywhere else.
Hopefully you'd have at least like a engineer, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we've got a engineer, but he had an airlock problem last week. He's still on the bench. So who's closest?
Chief O'Brien is perennially with us forever. Okay. You don't follow that page, do you? The same picture of Chief O'Brien every day?
I saw that one, and then there's another one where it's just somebody did a comic that's Chief O'Brien from his perspective, just in the transporter room waiting for people to show up.
Sorry, I'm a Star Trek nerd too.
Oh God, I could go on about Star Trek for hours.
Well, I was making sure I was ready for this, and I saw that you shared like this whole thread about Esri Dax and all that. I was like, okay, well, I can talk with Marcus. We can talk.
We could talk for a very long time. I need people to watch Lower Decks so somebody can make a game about it, and that person could be me.
What do you have a favorite Star Trek game then?
Ooh. No, I don't. I'm waiting for it to show up.
So you don't like Fleet Captains?
I have not played it. I think I have a copy sitting in my library of unplayed shame, but
I mean,
I want to get. It's like the Star Trek game I started on was a collectible card game back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I didn't even like associate that with modern game design, but I probably should have.
I mean, I haven't played in a long time. I feel like there was a combo that was kind of broken in it, and that's why people stopped playing it. But it's been a while.
I didn't have the money to play it properly, so I was just getting beaten by cash. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah. That's always the problem with it, like CCGs and so forth too. So is there anything else you want to share? Anything that you think is important that's going on in board gaming right now, or tabletop gaming, or anything else like that?
I got an opportunity to do a guest scenario for Frosthaven, which
Nice.
is just the hugest game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that to come out. But Isaac shared an update. I think one of his updates he just shared about making sure the narrative in the game was more inclusive and not in any way offensive to anyone, which turns out to be an offensive statement if you're the wrong kind of person. And I don't understand that. It's like all he wants to do is make sure that the narrative that he's telling isn't unintentionally hurtful.
Right.
If they've done their job correctly, you won't even notice that
Right.
anything changed. It's still going to be high fantasy setting. You're still going to get all of the strategy that's in that game.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, we really are still in adolescence of where fantasy is going in terms of modern fantasy anyways. So I don't understand the obsession with
It's like
having how it was in the late 70s, early 80s.
yeah, you don't have to lean into box stereotypes of how fantasy is presented.
Right.
And like the world is entirely wide open. You get to make it up at the table. Why not just be a bit better? Go a little further, do a little more.
Do you have a personal favorite archetype that you like to play in games like that?
I really don't. I take what comes,
Okay.
but I do enjoy like throwing out a lot of damage. That's just fun.
Okay. So you like to be some type of tank, whether it's a physical tank or a metaphysical tank with a sorcerer or something. Yeah. Okay.
It's like, yeah, a little bit sometimes.
I mean, you like to do the damage.
I like to do some
You like to. That's all I'm saying. That's awesome. That you got to work on Frosthaven. My biggest
It's
problem.
scary.
Well, what's amazing is he did all that first edition stuff all by himself.
Yeah.
Tons of it.
I can't imagine.
A huge amount of work.
I mean, like, the games I make are 10, 15 minutes to play and maybe 6 months of development work to get to a point where
Yeah.
it's good. Bees took an entire year.
Yeah.
And that was a long game for me. I can't imagine how long it took to make something like Blue
He's either prolific or lying to all of us. So, yeah. But how do you have the same regular game group that you get together to play?
I've got a few game groups. So I've got game groups that we play published games with, and then I've got Spiel Masons, our design group that meets here at Spielbound, actually.
Okay. What other smaller publishers, so forth, are here in the Omaha area?
So we've got Spielcraft Games, which actually is not related to all the Spielbound stuff, but they are part of the Spiel Masons group, and they spun out. They did Forklery, the gladiator game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-player, really kind of a deck builder affair. That one's really good. I like that one. I don't know what the other ones in town are, but we've got some people.
Yeah. Who else is kind of a part of your design group that you can share?
We've got Bryce Journey, who's doing. He's got a couple published games, not published games. He's got a couple signed games, but they're going to get published in the near future.
Okay, cool.
We've had people kind of rotate in and out, but I don't know how many more games that we have there. But Floyd Pretz has Among Thieves with.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's been published. Yeah, that's here. And he's got a lot of designs that I would like to see published, but he hasn't gotten that there yet. We've got a lot of people who work in games getting stuff done.
Is your whiskey game close to?
Oh no, it's not even nowhere close.
Okay.
It is way more in the conceptual stage.
Okay, way more. Okay.
I was like, I have an idea of the narrative, but I'm trying to figure out how to best bring that to life on the table.
Yeah.
Because I not just have to teach you about whiskey making. I have to teach you about whiskey making 100 years ago, and then make that be part of the game, and give you a little bit of the relevant history.
Yeah.
And after you've done all that, maybe it'd be nice if this game wasn't just victory points.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole conversation. I've been told that that's too heady of a conversation sometimes, but like, I really like the idea of games that don't just do victory points, right? In fact, victory points aren't necessary to them at all. Do you want to talk about that at all?
I mean, there's an uncountable number of ways to make a game.
Yes. Yeah.
So victory points is kind of a crutch. But it works.
Why? Go ahead and talk about that.
It works because people like to know objectively there's a winner, and they had a strategy, and if you've designed your game properly, it feels justified that person was able to win, even if there was a large luck component.
Yeah.
You don't go, I don't know why that person won. We spent an hour playing that, and I had a better strategy, and the game just didn't reward it. But people want to feel like the game makes sense. They want order in their world.
Okay.
The world is chaos and terrible.
Yeah.
But it cannot be for about 2 hours if we try.
Yeah. So it's a way of making sense of the world. All right. I'll give it to you.
That's giving it too much.
But I mean, it makes sense in that framework, right? That like sometimes people just want something to make sense.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and victory points can give you that in a way.
They can give you that, but so can you also must complete this particular objective on the board, otherwise you can't win. You're disqualified from it. Which
do you have a favorite designer yourself that plays that type of game?
I really do love Reiner Knizia's games. He does a lot of he thinks differently about games than most people. And like high society, you have to buy all these particular things and you get a number of points for it, but if you have the least money of anyone at the table, you lose.
Yeah.
You can't be the poorest player. That's just part of the strategy of the game.
Yeah. So going back to what I was asking you earlier, who do you play Gloomhaven with then?
I have
you play with more than one group? Okay, go ahead. This is what has kept me from wanting to. I played the first scenario and then I was like, I can't imagine playing this game over and over again because I like to play so many games, and having the time set aside and the space set aside for that one game. It's like I just don't care that much. How do you do that with more than one group?
You don't have to necessarily do it with more than one group. You have to find one group that's dedicated.
Yeah.
We're going to play this game, and we're going to spend the time together to play it. So you pick a night, and you don't schedule anything else. Or if you do schedule something, I mean, we literally put it into our calendars so it's blocked off.
Okay.
It's almost like a job. You're like, all right, we're playing this game, we're gonna have scenarios lined up, but yeah, if you really get into the game, it's a lifestyle game. I don't have very many lifestyle games.
I mean, so it is a role playing game.
You make a choice to play that game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you? So is that a third group
I have
from
not,
your other groups?
It's a slightly smaller group, but yes.
Okay, that's fair. But anything else you want to share with people? Why should they come to Omaha and visit Spielbound Cafe?
Spielbound has nearly 3,000 games in the library.
That's fantastic.
And for $5, you can play almost all of them. We do have a reserve section that's just for members. And year memberships are really affordable, especially when you compare it to like a children's museum or the zoo or anything else that we have here in Omaha. It's very cheap.
Are you a lifelong Omaha resident, or?
I was born here. I did spend a year in Denver. I spent a year in Cedar Rapids, but yeah, no, this is my home.
This is home. So people should come, play a game, hang out.
Oh yeah, there's we have a number of quality restaurants. Now I'm speaking for the Omaha Tourism Association. No, we honestly do have a high number of restaurants for the size.
My sister's a chef in the city, so I get it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it a lot. Check out Water Bear Games.
Yep.
Check out Spielbound. We'll be looking forward to the whiskey game someday.
Oh man, I really want to make sure I get that right, because if I screw that up, they'll be like, well, we tried. We're going back.
What do you have a convention here in Omaha?
Well, we have several. Yeah, we've got NukeCon and we've got PretzCon.
Okay.
Those are the big ones for me.
Maybe I will see you at one of those next year, or do you come to Origins ever?
I have not yet made it to Origins. It was something I wanted to do this year. I'm still... I want to find out. I'm trying to figure out those plans.
Okay. Well, hopefully I'll see you at a convention sometime.
But yeah, Origins is yours?
Oh, well, I'm an hour from Columbus.
That would do it.
Yeah, I'm only doing a couple small cons this year. I'm going to do Lexicon, go up to Grand Con, and then Origins, and that's it.
But let's say, do you consider Origins small? I mean, everything is compared to Gen Con.
I mean, compared to Gen Con, compared to PAX East, it's smaller than those.
All right, so. I might show up for that.
Well, it's not tiny, but it's not as big as those. It's not as big as Dragon Con.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking like 2,000 people might be enough for me right now. It might be more than that.
So again, thank you. Do you do handshakes right now, or
yeah? No? I can do handshakes.
It's okay. You can do fist bumps. Marcus.